My woman of anthropology is Zora Neale Hurston. She was born in Notasulga, Alabama on January 7, 1891. She was an influential author of African American literature as well as an anthropologist who portrayed racial struggles in the early 20th century and published her research on Haitian voodoo. Hurston is the sixth of 8 children. Her father was a Baptist preacher and sharecropper who later became a carpenter, and her mother was a schoolteacher. She moved to Eatonville, Florida when she was 3. Though she was born in Alabama, she looked upon Eatonville, Florida as her home. It was an all-black town which she could claim is her birthplace. She used Eatonville mainly as a setting in her stories, as a place where African Americans could live as they desired, independent of white society. While she was going to school when she was young, her school teachers would give her numerous books to open her mind to literature. From here, she was said to have a personal literary awakening and influenced her early on to become an author. Her mother died in 1904 and her father remarried in 1905. Her father was elected as mayor and became the minister of its town's largest church. When her father remarried, the people looked upon it as a scandal as they accused him of having sexual relations with his second wife before his first wife's death. Due to the scandal, they sent her away to a boarding school in Jacksonville, Florida, where they eventually stopped paying for her tuition and she was dismissed. Eventually, she went back to school, graduated high school, and was accepted into Howard University, a historically black college in Washington, D.C. Though, she left Howard to accept a scholarship to study at Barnard College of Columbia University, a women's college where she was solely the only black student. She conducted ethnographic and anthropologic research with and under the father of American anthropology, Franz Boas. Under Boas, she worked with 2 other female anthropologists, both who studied under Boas, Ruth Benedict and Margaret Mead. She received her BA in anthropology in 1928 and was the first black woman to graduate from this institution. She is celebrated primarily for her creative literary endeavors and vibrant personality as one of the central figures of the Harlem Renaissance. Zora Neale Hurston's work as an anthropologist tends to be overshadowed by her work as a novelist, journalist, and playwright. Though it is to note that all of her literature was based from years of her studying anthropology and conducting its research, as it crafted her fictional work. Anthropology introduced Zora to the perspective scientific objectivity. She would fuse this with her own detailed insider's knowledge of her own culture and people to forge a unique native anthropological perspective. Upon graduation from Barnard, Zora was sent into the field by Boas, supported by a Carter G. Woodson grant. It would be the beginning of her field work experiences, some successful and others not so successful. The challenge in writing about Zora's approach to ethnography, the method of first-hand detailed data collection championed by Boas and his students, is that few examples of her field notes survived. The closest illustrations of how she collected data and her analysis of the same can be found in letters to Langston Hughes primarily. In 1929, she began a series of fieldwork trips to the U.S. South and to the Caribbean, which included Haiti and Jamaica. Her research was supported by Rosenwald and Guggenheim Fellowships and private funding. Findings of this research are published in Mules and Men, her first major anthropologic work and the first collection of black folklore by a black American. Her second major anthropologic work was Tell My Horse, on the materials she collected on Vodun. Many other anthropologists of her time hailed Hurston's role as an important innovator of anthropological theory and method.